So for selecting my sources, I started just with UC Library and scholarly essays and peer-reviewed journals, and I did this just like to get an expert opinion right away. You can always trust the information you're receiving, and then I looked up videos that talked about media and like was able to find a bunch of YouTube clips and documentaries. Of all my sources, or all my sources are very credible, and because they're like academically based, and the documentaries are probably very credible considering they were published. The first one I watched was Tough Guys 2, and it's about men and like their masculinity and how violence surrounds a lot of it. And I'm gonna use this to like talk about men being dominant in having to have a certain way of masculinity. The next one I watched was called Valentine Road, and it's about a little kid being shot because he was gay. And I thought pairing this with some YouTube videos I found will be able to talk about how like masculinity can't be questioned, and when it is, people like think guys are gay if they aren't this certain form of masculinity. I also had some articles that talked about homophobia, and I'm gonna pair those two. And then another documentary I watched was the Mickey Mouse Monopoly. And this talks about how like race is portrayed even in like all Disney movies where you wouldn't think anything bad would happen. So like I said, like most of my writings were academically based, and they actually all came from the same book, but they like all were different authors and touched on different topics. I had some about like females growing up celebrity-based society, so I'm able to use that, talking about how women are affected, and then white men being attacked in society because they actually aren't attacked, it's everyone else is attacked. That makes them seem better. And then I have articles about like transgender issues in the digital age and ethnic diversity. And so, since they all came from the same book, I was able to show how they tie together in today's world. And then, one of my biggest sources is going to be my Mickey Mouse Monopoly, because Disney seems so innocent, but like it actually isn't. And I think that's like one of my biggest things to point out, that society is like corrupting even when you don't realize it is corrupting. And then I found other sources that like weren't helpful, because I was going to talk about children and like teens and elderly and like different ages, but then I decided not to talk about that because it would be too long of a report. And then I still have to work on research for my study and conduct my interview, but once I get those done, I will be pretty much done with all my research.